Hello friends, welcome to the session on migration and reverse migration amid COVID-19. This session has three objectives. First, to outline the source and destination streams of migrant laborers in different regions of India. Second, to discuss the COVID-19 triggered reverse migration in India. And finally, to provide a critical appraisal of Government of India's intervention towards reducing the spread of COVID-19. The key themes and issues to be covered in this session are migration, source and destination streams, effects of the lockdown, impact of COVID-19 on the indigenous people of India, and finally, COVID-19 government intervention schemes. To begin with, migration or the movement of population from one place to another is a product of social, cultural, economic, political and or physical circumstances. Migration is usually defined as a geographical movement involving a change from the usual place of residence. Migration is a form of spatial mobility involving change in the usual place of residence and implies a movement beyond administrative boundary. Migrant workers constitute a key demography of the Indian workforce. The most striking feature of a migration is that it can change the structure of a labor market drastically at a given point of time. It has also a drastic impact on sectoral growth of the economy. For example, the current exodus has direct implications on the MSME sectors, supply chain of fast moving consumer goods, agricultural products due to reverse migration of rickshaw or taxi and truck drivers. There are about 10 million people in the country who are part of these seasonal migrants. Reverse migration refers to movement of people from place of employment to their native places. Courtesy COVID-19, the country is beholding the second largest mass migration in the history after the partition of India in 1947, where more than 14 million people were displaced and migrated to India and Pakistan respectively, depending on their religious faith. Now let us discuss about the source and destination points. According to Census of India 2011, Maharashtra and Delhi saw the maximum number of flow of migrants from the states of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Rajasthan, Odisha, West Bengal, Madhya Pradesh, Punjab and Assam, with around 54.3 million migrating out of their original state. With the world coming to a standstill due to lockdown as a measure to combat COVID-19, limited employment opportunities, impending the fear of a unlocked future and financial crisis, thousands of underprivileged people and laborers started to march back to their native places and home states. The outflow of migrants to the respected states has been depicted in the following. Let us now discuss about the effects of the lockdown. The imposition of the lockdown as a measure to contain the exponential progression of a COVID-19 pandemic has hit the unskilled and semi-skilled migrant laborers the most. In the absence of transport facilities during lockdown, the panic-stricken laborers and their families, including infants, pregnant women and the elderly, walked thousands of kilometers barefoot without food and money to reach their native places. Many of these migrants were left stranded midway, facing starvation and misery, and some even died before they could reach their destination. At the source, be that in the village or the town, the issue of crop harvest for Rabi and the sowing of Kharif will create some relief in the short run, but the source regions cannot be relied upon to take the additional load of returning sons and daughters of the region. Rough estimates indicate that roughly more than 120 to 140 million are at the moment either walking back or are stranded in various camps. This number does not take into account the vast majority of slums that characterize our cities and house the migrants. The actual numbers wanting to return home would be fairly large. The post-coronavirus recovery of the shattered world of migrants would witness diverse and multiple realities. ILO estimates are that around 400 million workers in the informal economy are at risk of falling deeper into poverty during this crisis. The extent of this sudden reverse migration was that Even the best of the efforts of the Government of India could not match the crisis. The authorities have developed shelters and quarantine homes for the deprived migrants and are looking after 600,000 migrants and providing food to more than 2.2 million individuals under free ration scheme by Delhi government and one nation one ration card scheme by the central government. Still, millions of migrants are unreachable and are yet to receive aid by the government. These migrants are vulnerable to SARS-CoV-2 infection and can ultimately become the reservoirs for the spread of this disease. Even the labor camps and quarantine shelter homes may raise the jeopardy of contamination amongst them. Handling the compromised mental health of migrants is another challenge. Depressed by the misery around and lack of future employment opportunities and financial support is likely to result in suicidal tendencies. On the other hand, the industries, agriculture, textile or construction are dependent on manpower. The lack of labor is likely to affect the productivity of various sectors, leading to an economic slowdown. Thus, the reverse migration is likely to hit the economy of the nation as well. The COVID-19 triggered massive reverse migration is going to have far-reaching implications for the migrants as well as the country, unless adequate and timely measures are taken to address this issue. Let us try to understand the impact of COVID-19 on the indigenous people in India. As we know, there are about 75 tribal groups who have been categorized by Ministry of Tribal Affairs as particularly vulnerable tribal groups spread in 18 states and union territories of Andaman and Nicobar Island. The detection of 10 positive COVID cases who are basically the non-tribals in Port Blair, the capital of Andaman and Nicobar Island, has put the administration on its toes. 9 of these infected people had travelled to Delhi to attend a religious congregation at Nizamuddin Markaz organized by Tablighi Jamaat from 1st to 15 March 2020, while the 10th patient is the wife of one of those who travelled to Delhi. In addition, over 2,000 persons who are non-tribals are under quarantine in Port Blair as on 1st April 2020. Although as on date, no COVID cases has been reported among the tribals, experts and anthropologists have warned that the spread of the deadly coronavirus among the fragile indigenous people has the potential to wipe them out. There are reports that the so-called Gotikoya and other tribals in Mulugu district of Chhattisgarh's Bastar were wearing the face mask made from the palm leaves, and tribals of Vijayanagaram district in Andhra Pradesh were covering their faces with masks made by the herbal leaves due to non-availability of a protective mask in the tribal areas. On the policy front, first and foremost, the government needs to ensure that the distressed migrants get back to their homes safely. At the same time, quarantine strategies need to be devised to prevent this migration-led spread of infection to the remotest part of the country. The migrants should be assured of safe and financial security and motivated to get back to work at the earliest possible time. SARS-CoV-2 is here to stay, and hence it is recommended to follow due safety measures to combat its threat, at least till the time vaccine is developed. The pressure of this reverse migration is going to be felt in the fields of agriculture and allied activity, and will put immense pressure on a system that is already broken. There is a felt need of a charter of rights of the working population across the boards that ensures the right to livelihood, food security, and above all, dignity of labor. Such a charter should become the guiding principles in the post-coronavirus phase of India's polity and economy. With this, I come to an end of the session on migration and reverse migration amid COVID-19 and leave you with few questions which you will find easy. Thanks for watching this video.